The Tigers are home for the first time this year. The Tiger Lacrosse Report starts now, brought to you by the Green Turtle. Welcome to another edition of the Tiger Lacrosse Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen. And coach, this week the Tigers staying in state as you will play Mount St. Mary's on Saturday afternoon. The Tigers coming off a loss to Hopkins, the Mount coming off a loss to Delaware, so they continue their trek through the CAA. When you look at that Delaware-Mount St. Mary's game, what do you gather from that ball game?
That Mount St. Mary's is a very organized team. Watching them play, both offensively and defensively, they get into their systems well. They have their personnel set up where they want them to be successful, and they're disciplined but not stagnant. Disciplined but not stagnant. What they do, they trust in who they are and in what they do, and they're a competitive group, which is not surprising. Coach Gravani does a great job with those guys. Very competitive group. They jumped out, and then really kind of jumped on Delaware a little bit early. Delaware settled in, and the game was, kind of Delaware showed that obviously they were the better team throughout the course of the game. But Mount did a good job early on, being able to be competitive and be combative at the face-off X, as well as organized on the offensive and defensive end, and make Delaware have to earn that win.
All right, for you guys coming off the loss to Hopkins, and now you've got a full week to prepare for the Mount. For your team, you mentioned at the end of the last show that John Mazza hasn't played in a year and a half. Avenatti hasn't played in a couple of years. Brody McLean had been out for a while with an injury, so they get the rust off. Now you're also going to get back Grant Maloof, who was a major part of your midfield. How much do you expect to see an improvement from Game 1 to Game 2?
I don't know how much, but we definitely need to see more chemistry, more. We're speaking more offensive personnel here. We need them to understand really what their role is and how they need to be more of a team offensive group. In the game against Hopkins, it was a little bit more, I'm going to try to make something happen rather than letting the offense make something happen. Again, it's not their fault. It's kind of our fault as coaches, making sure that we emphasize what we need to do, and the ball not sticking in somebody's stick for too long, and going with that. So I think the guys are a little bit more settled, hopefully. In practice this week, we're continuing to focus, as we do majority of time early in the season, on our own development. Obviously, we're going to pay attention to the Mount stuff and make sure we understand who they are. But again, we have a lot of questions to answer within our own team and make sure that we build that chemistry. So, making sure those guys continue to take a lot of reps together, build the chemistry at the attack and midfield with the offense, and conversely with the defense, because we're very young at the defensive midfield as well.
How does practice change from preseason, the month of January when you're practicing, getting ready for the first game of the year? How does it change after the season starts and now you've got 6 days to get ready for another team?
Sure. It's the preseason is a lot of preparation of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, with half field sets, full field sets, specialty stuff with man up, man down, face off wing play, riding, clearing, all that. So there's a lot of install, a lot of reps within those segments, and you hope to have a lot in before the season hits. But then you got to continue to evolve. I feel like during the season, so you got to continue to personally, make time for yourselves, find areas that you have strength in, and continue to build on those areas that you need to strengthen, and to just shore those up. But then you got to squeeze in time to prepare for your opponent and make sure that you're doing what you can to neutralize what they want to try to do and then attack their, their potential game plan and everything. So, where the preseason is very much about yourself, and what you might expect kind of early on the season, during that week of preparation, definitely about yourself, but, a little bit more obviously preparing for your opponent as well.
What about when you see that something didn't go well the prior week? Do you focus on that the next week, or do you talk about it but maybe not overdo it?
Yeah, it's kind of situation to situation depending on what it was and then what impact we felt it had. If we feel like it's a glaring problem and something we have to address, we will obviously put a lot of attention to it. If we feel like it was just kind of a one-off and something that was a bit of a misnomer, obviously communicate it, maybe show it a little bit more in film or address it on the field a little bit, but not harp on it too much if you don't have to. So it's case by case, but obviously you want to make sure if there's any issues that do arise or inconsistencies, you address them so that they don't continue to be issues for you.
Hopefully the issues will go away as the Tigers take on the Mount on Saturday at noon. Glenn Smith and I will have the call for you starting at 11:45 on Saturday from Johnny Unitas Stadium. So for the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen, I'm Spiro Morekas. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Tigers.